Thank you for pressing start on episode 91 of Underplayed, KZUM's indie video game podcast. Today, we have two secret games, followed by a review of our featured game, Gravity Circuit. Here on Underplayed, we review indie games of all kinds, the games with small budgets but big hearts, the lesser-known experiences with imaginative ideas. I'm Bo Poe, and I have a co-host. What's better than that? He's shaking his cake in Human Fall Flat, powering his radio with the turn of a crank, and playing through games till the backlog is blank. It's the 1,000 times resistant, Google form insistent, funky member of the Bomb Rush crew. DiscoCola, how do you do?
I'm a little winded. I just learned that I actually can run, so I've been zooming around all over the place. How are you?
I'm doing just fine. He who controls the direction he bursts. It's a very hard thing to do.
Yeah,
these
but
days.
It makes me bonk 'em. I gotta bonk 'em.
Go bonk 'em. Those are references to our featured game, Gravity Circuit, a game that I had not played before. Disco has played several times before.
I have. You asked me the other night how many times I'd beaten it. I said 6, I think.
6, you think? That's a lot.
Yeah, well,
Wow.
I did both trophy stacks, which require multiple playthroughs, so PS4, PS5, and then I played it again for today. I actually, 2 hours ago, took down the final boss yet again.
Awesome. Was it all within 24 hours that you did it? Did you do it all in one session? Oh,
no, it was, I couldn't beat it that fast. Well, my game clock said 5 hours, I guess. So
yeah,
I could have, but I never have play sessions that long.
Nice. I think that's right in line with the expected average playtime. Very cool. Well, we will talk about that as our featured game later on in the episode. For fans of Mega Man and action platformers, you're in the right spot. We wanted to say that next episode we will have another guest. This season on Underplayed. It will be Dave Jackson, who is the host of Tales from the Backloggd, and Dave will be talking to us about the content he creates. He'll be talking to us about his game tastes, and we'll also be co-reviewing Hollow Knight Silksong with Dave, and we're looking forward to having his expertise and his input because Silksong's a big game.
Yeah, it's I wasn't sure I was going to actually play Gravity Circuit again for this recording
right.
because of that, but I managed to get everything in.
Nice. Things are working out so far. We're crossing our fingers that it continues to be that way.
I did have to take a day off of work, but I did make it work.
That's fun. Yeah, I've had to do that before too. But yeah, we're looking forward to having Dave on. So just be aware, listener, that next episode we will have a very special guest. Also, speaking of collaborations and things like that, I just did an article with Emily from No Small Games. It is looking back at the year 2025. So you thought your retrospective content on the previous year was all done. Not so. There's one more article for you to read, and we would really love if you went to nosmallgames.com and read it. It's called 10 Indie Game Trends from 2025. It's looking back at tons of games from the last year and finding similarities and trends between a bunch of them and writing briefly about them too.
I remember you did an article like that. It might have been the year before or 2 years prior.
It was 2024, yeah.
And some of those trends, the headline for the trends were pretty funny. So
we have a few more funny ones for sure. Yeah, a lot of ones that are plays on words, and we're really proud of it. I think the first year we did 15 trends. Mm-hmm. We just narrowed it down to 10, so much more concentrated, much more focused. And if you want to be validated in some of your suspicions about trends you've noticed, you might see some similar thoughts that we have. Also, you might be aware of trends that we don't. So if you want to talk to us, yell at us, tell us what trends we missed out there. There are many, many thousands of indie games released every year. So I bet there are some we missed.
It's fun because those are little mini versions of our joke backlogged lists.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. What are some of our backlogged lists that we like?
Games where you F up the moon, which currently includes Inscription and Skate Story.
Right.
Games with literal game sharks.
Yes.
Or loan sharks.
Right.
Damn it, now I have to open Backloggd.
There are ones that are very personal for you, which is like games that led me to introduce my fist to a local tabletop.
Yeah, I do have that one, and
it's a very
added to it recently.
Very subjective personal list.
Both my games for the next episode actually are now on that list.
Nice.
Okay, so
Wadham 2 made you pound your fist on the table. Wow, interesting.
So did Wadham 1. Better Butto Bureau. Forgot about that one.
Yes.
That's a good one.
Games where you have little buttos, basically.
And they're really helpful.
Yes.
Those are the most of the ones I have right now.
Yeah, it's fun. I won't spoil any of the categories, but yeah, go check out nosmallgames.com for that.
Games Where We F Up the Moon also has a leg head. I forgot about that.
Oh, I was going to say, if we had a nickel for every time that happened, we'd only have 2 nickels.
But we have.
It's still strange that it happened twice.
There's a couple more on here that people have submitted. So if you have games where you F up the moon, let me know. Because I've never played Terraria, but apparently that happens to some degree in Terraria.
Several people have played that, so I would I would trust them to know.
Something else that happened recently is the Cult of the Lamb Woolhaven DLC came out, and this is apparently a massive expansion. And I don't know when we'll have time to play it, but our friend Kate was texting me, and she let me know that somehow music by Riverboy is still included in Woolhaven. And there's this whole article at massivemonster.com. It's in their blog. Riverboy Forever is the name of the article. And it talks about how he managed to get some of those tracks done before he passed away. So all these months later, we still get to experience some of Riverboy's incredible work. And that makes me look forward to it just a little bit more.
Yeah. Do you have plans to play this sometime in the next year?
Yeah, I mean, it would be cool. I've been wanting to start a brand new cult from the start and just see what Cult of the Lamb is like now, because it's been a living and breathing game since the last time I played it.
Same. I'd like to start over. I haven't kept up with all the DLCs, so I think it would just be better to start fresh. I did get to see some friends stream the update, and so I saw things like the Cult expansion.
Okay.
There's like a little area that expands like down south from your main
so you just
camp.
Have like more real estate to work with.
You do have a little bit more.
Oh, that's helpful actually, because some of my cults were getting too big.
I know.
And I had too many immortal cult members.
And I think that could help with just like categorizing where certain buildings go. Maybe all of your bunk beds go in that little section or something.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm looking at the Cult of the Lamb wiki, and here are the additions that are listed. I don't know if this is an exhaustive complete list. I assume it is, but in this DLC, we've got 2 new dungeons. We've got a new location. We have the Cult winter mechanic. We have Cult expansion. We have animal ranching, new weapons, new fleeces, new structures, new soundtrack, which we just covered, and new follower forms and robes. So it just seems like more.
A lot of stuff.
More of the stuff we love.
Yeah.
Well, that is a very good update. I know we had talked about Riverboy's passing in the past, so it was good to bring that up. And I think this is the year where maybe I return to Cult of the Lamb. I think it's going to happen.
I think it can. It's what I would like to do before episode 100, but we'll see. Which is coming up, by the way. Mark your calendars, sometime in June of 2026. We haven't set the date quite yet, but episode 100 of Underplayed will premiere in June of 2026.
Yeah, it'll be between seasons 9 and 10, and we will be doing an episode 100 spectacular. It'll be an extra long episode full of reflections, and rest assured, there will be activities in the episode.
A coloring sheet, connect the dots, color by number.
Word search. It'll be a lot of fun, folks. Well, we're going to move on, but before we do, there are a few very easy ways to support Underplayed, they cost nothing. They take almost no time at all. We'd really appreciate you doing these things for us if you haven't already. So one, you can give us a follow and a 5-star rating on podcast platforms. You might be listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or somewhere else. And doing that would make us appear more consistently for you and for others. So click that follow button. Give us 5 stars, please. 2, you can follow us across social media using the links in our show notes. And 3, sharing our podcast by reposting our stuff on social media and telling your indie game loving friends about us means the world. And as always, we love you. Thank you so much for listening.
And hey, real quick, everyone, it's that time of year. For those of you that don't know, here at Underplayed, we record at the studios of KZUM. KZUM is a nonprofit community radio station, and they subsist on listener donations largely. So if you're listening to this and you want to support Underplayed in a financial way, we don't take donations, we don't do ads or sponsors or anything like that because we work with this nonprofit organization. And so the best way to support us in a more financial fiscal way is to donate directly to KZUM. And if you do that, you're supporting not only Underplayed, but a lot of other voices, both on the radio and in podcasts. And the KZUM has a big focus on serving underserved communities, especially in our podcast realm. So it would just mean a lot if you have the means and the ability to do so. You could make a donation to KZUM. They're having their fund drive just a couple days after this episode premieres. So we'd really appreciate it. You can go to kzum.org and there's a donate button. You can donate there. If you want to give us some props, you can mention us in one of the comment fields. That would mean a lot to get an email from the staff that says, hey, Underplayed actually got a donation. That's pretty cool. Thanks, guys.
Let's move on to Secret Games.
The secret games. Secret games that you're playing. Secret games. The secret games. Secret games.
For Secret Games, DiscoCola and I have each been playing a game on our own time, and now we're going to reveal what those games are and review them. We will start with you, DiscoCola. Let the mystery be no more. Reveal your secret game for episode 91 of Underplayed.
My secret game is a 3D action platformer Mega Man-like from Adam Kareem, and it is called Protodroid DeLTA.
We should use my power for good. We can no longer turn a blind eye to the Vipers.
That Protodroid has angered many powerful people.
I advise you see yourself out.
Ah, you walked in here looking for a fight, huh?
What's your angle, Protodroid?
This is what the people want to see!
I believe in you, Delta.
Yeah, I have not played this, but the title is vaguely familiar. Yeah, this definitely seems like it's in your wheelhouse.
Yeah. This was mentioned back in our Crosscode episode. Brian had mentioned it. Brian from Proto Dudes Rockman Corner. He had done some of the writing on this. And I kind of planned to play this anyway for an episode, but just kind of shot it to the top of the list.
Very fitting for this episode, for sure.
So, in Protodroid DeLTA, you take control of a protodroid named DeLTA. DeLTA's the creation of Dr. Noor Shelton, who I suppose would essentially be this game's like Dr. Light, but they're basically nothing alike at all, apart from just being
a scientist,
good aligned robotics genius. Like
okay.
That's their only parallel, really. In the world of Protodroid DeLTA, the city is sort of ruled by crime syndicates, kind of sorts, each led by other roboticists that are referred to as Vipers. And these are essentially your Mega Man bosses. There are 4 of them featuring very different aesthetics, personalities, skills, and ethnic backgrounds. So you've got a diverse array of human antagonists. You will also encounter on your journey another protodroid that goes by Android. And so
They go by Android?
Yes. So DeLTA, if you look at how it's characterized, The E is lowercase, but everything else is capitalized. That's because DeLTA is a compound of two different words or two different names. I don't remember what they are.
So Android's the same
Android's
style?
the same. Her full name is like Anna Marie something or whatever, but she goes by Android.
I like that.
And it's sort of characterized in a similar way with a mix of capital and lowercase letters. And Android was created by another one of Dr. Shelton's robotics colleagues. As DeLTA, you'll enter all 4 of the thematic stages in an attempt to encounter and reason with each of the Vipers to save the city from their violent actions, hoping to change their hearts to good. While controlling DeLTA in this 3D action platformer, you will have access to a jump, a dash, an arm cannon, and an energy sword. You can also charge your arm cannon for more powerful shot, which will take up some weapon energy, and you recharge weapon energy by slashing enemies with your sword. So think like Hyperlight Drifter, where you get ammunition from slapping some enemies.
Nice.
So that means you kind of have like a balancing act with when and where to use your charge shot, because you'll also have to balance that with hitting enemies as well. Otherwise, you platform through the 4 regions, defeating minor enemies along the way. Each of the 4 main levels consist of, in order, 2 platforming sections, a mini-boss arena battle, followed by a 3rd platforming section, and concluding with the Viper boss fight. After you beat those 4 levels, as you might imagine, there will be a Dr. Wily-style stage as well that's
Spoiler.
a little bit different.
Okay. Cool.
Dr. Wily's not in the game, so you don't have to worry
That's the
about
unexpected
it.
part. Yeah, okay. He doesn't make an appearance just out of nowhere. Okay.
No.
Dang it.
Not as far as I know.
Ugh.
Anyways, as for things that I like about Protodroid, as far as I can tell, the levels are kind of split up into these different sections, in part because each of the sub-levels load in all at once. And I actually really like this because I can sort of look off in the distance and sort of anticipate what's coming. Like I can see maybe from the beginning of the level, if I look up and to the right, I can see the end of the level, or at least what's coming up quite a ways down the line. And it's pretty far out there, but I can anticipate what I'll be doing later on. I like the concept of how the levels are split, getting platforming and mini-boss fights in the same order in each level. Just sort of helps me plan my time a little bit better, and it gives me a little bit of everything. I get to focus on platforming for a while, and then I get to focus on just combat when I'm fighting the mini-boss or the boss. Next, generally speaking, I like the platforming. Dash jumping feels pretty good. Some jumps seem like they are just surely too far to reach, but everything is spaced out just right, and so you can feel really cool when you're closing these massive gaps a mile above the ground. It just looks really awesome. Levels will have these purple pickups called tribute coins, and as you collect tribute coins, you unlock different skins for DeLTA, and they're all references to Mega Man X characters, including X and Zero and Axel and even Vile and Sigma. And so, Protodroid DeLTA was the first game that gave me something I've wanted since I was 12 years old, and that is a chance to play as Sigma. So, thanks for that. I'm pretty happy with that.
It's probably the only game you'll see in your lifetime that lets you do that.
Yeah, that's for dang sure, since we're getting apparently Mega Man 12 this year and not Mega Man X9. But
so are these costumes or these skins, are they like direct references in that they name the characters, or is it just by appearance only and you just kind of get it like, oh, that's obviously an homage?
So it's kind of like when third-party companies make Transformer toys. Like, it's in appearance and they have a name, and the name maybe references the character, but it's not, it doesn't say this is Zero. And like Axel's is like AX7-1A or something is the name of the skin.
Right.
So
they probably couldn't get away with actually, doing the direct reference.
Mega Man doesn't come after people very often. They might have been able to get away with it, but it would have been even more on the nose, I think. So I don't think it's appropriate. But apart from that, even without that awesome Sigma skin, collecting the coins is also pretty fun. So I love looking around corners and under platforms just to try and find them all. For things that didn't sit so well with me, I don't have many complaints, but I do have a few, and they were actually pretty big deals for me. First up, there's quite a few of these like minor enemies that I think are really cheap and can way too easily deplete your life bar through various methods. Like there's one that has a super powerful laser and it will almost one-shot you. Like it takes a long time to charge, mind you, but many times it's at the end of a big section of like floating platforms, and it takes a long time to just close the gap. And also, maybe you've spent all your weapon energy on other enemies that have shields, because you can only take down shields with charge shots or with the sword. So it can take a lot of work just to close that gap and get there before it shoots its charge laser at you. There's another one that creates like these little black holes that pull you in, and a lot of them spawn near open pits, and they just take a few too many hits to destroy for what they do. There's like 3 other enemy types that I think totally suck too, and I dread every time I see them coming. But that's as far as that complaint goes. My second large complaint is that the levels are a little too huge. Now, when I look at how long to beat, it did pretty much line up with how long it took me. So given the time that it mentioned, I knew that the levels might be on the long side, but like the first level took me an hour, and the rest, given we're quicker, I was able to shave off time as I got better and found mobility upgrades. But like there's 3 whole platforming sections in each level, and that's a bit much. And they're not even like short platforming sections. It's just, I kind of get the point a lot quicker than that, and it gets old kind of quickly, especially because I don't necessarily think Mega Man's translate to 3D the best, even when it's done well. Like, I get that Mega Man Legends is beloved and it's in 3D, but I think where that is more successful is in that it's maybe slower paced, I think. Something about a fast-paced Mega Man in 3D just doesn't work quite as well, in a sense.
Well, it sounds like there's a trade-off going on, perhaps, between the number of stages in this game versus other Mega Man games and other Mega Man likes. You said there are 4 stages, so I'm wondering if there was a pressure to make the levels just beefier, having fewer of them. Let's really build them out so that they count.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's a trade-off that I would prefer.
Yeah, I almost wrote in here that I would prefer more levels that are shorter.
Yeah.
But, that's a big ask in its own way.
Yeah, because then every level has to have its own identity, and I get that. But yeah.
Because like one of the things that this game did excel at, and I didn't mention it, is like they make the backgrounds really sort of expansive, and it kind of looks like you're in this really big place, and they put a lot of work into the detail of the environment.
Yeah,
so,
they're just looking at the trailer. There are sections that kind of remind me of like playing a Ratchet and Clank game when you're on one of the planets.
I'm glad you actually mentioned Ratchet and Clank. I read an article from the lead on this game, and he mentioned playing Ratchet and Clanks to sort of like figure out how to translate 2D Mega Man games into 3D. So that was a big inspiration there. And that was really the main drive for making the game, was I want to make a 3D Mega Man game, essentially.
That's really cool. Well, that only makes me want to play it more, actually.
Oh, good. Yeah. Cool. Last, this is a smaller complaint, but still kind of stuck in my craw a little bit. DeLTA has a Mega Man X-like dash, but it has like a cooldown, and it's maybe only 1 second or so, but that really is a lot of time when it comes to this kind of dash. Like, you're having to pause after every dash, where in like Mega Man games that have a dash, you just go, you don't even walk ever. You just dash everywhere.
You don't think about pressing it because it's so automatic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see how that would be just like, even though it's a little bit of time, it could be shorter between dashes.
But there are some other small things that I didn't love, but I can leave it there at those really high pillar ones. In the end, Protodroid DeLTA is a really competent 3D representation of Mega Man X style gameplay. I still contend that the genre as a whole is better served in 2D. Risky as it might have been, I wish that I was able to zoom a little bit more without that dash cooldown. But the platforming was still pretty kinetic, and paired with the expansive backgrounds, really made me feel like I was a badass flying through the air in these precarious skylines. The game has some really great representation of diversity in its characters. Overall, I think it's a pretty solid game, so I still give it an 8.0 out of 10.
Nice. I just have one question. I was going to kind of ask about the 4 stages and what you thought of that makeup. We got into that a little bit. I love 3D platformers. I know platforming is just one of the pillars going on in this game. Do you recommend this game to a 3D platformer fan? If someone came up to you and they're like, I love Ratchet and Clanks, which are 3D action platformers, but I like, Spyro games and I like Mario games. I like games where I'm moving around in a 3D space and jumping. Would you recommend it to them?
That's hard because every time I think of 3D platformer, I think of like cute mascot characters, even like Jack and Daxter. Like Jack is still like kind of cute,
right?
In a way,
and Daxter is charming too.
Adorable.
Right?
Yeah. It's hard because DeLTA doesn't really have that same kind of personality, and so it's hard for me to picture them in the same world. But I'm gonna say, yeah, it's worth a shot. I think your just movement speed in general is faster than most 3D platformers, and so it might feel a little weird. I think if we could move like you can move in RoboQuest, which is a game we both started for a little bit, then I would recommend it a little bit more. But you're not quite that fast, but you're not slow like Spyro is kind of slow. And you can opt to go fast, or whatever in Spyro, but it just, I don't know, it feels different.
Okay. I'm interested. I really like the look of the game. I think it really pops with color, and I'm hearing in one of my ears, I'm hearing some voiceover lines from the characters, so they're having some fun. They're talking back and forth with each other.
Mm-hmm.
They're getting in there.
Yeah.
Cool. Where can you play Protodroid DeLTA?
You can play Protodroid DeLTA on Windows, Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, which is what I played, and the Xbox One.
It is time for My Secret Game. My secret game today is a throwback. It is from originally the year 2012, and it's a game I've been aware of for a long, long time. I only just recently played it for the first time. My secret game today is called Papo and Yo.
Okay, I don't actually know it. I wanted to say World of Goo, but I think you have played that, haven't you?
I've played World of Goo, but I haven't finished it, and that was way back in the day. That was like 2011 or something.
Okay.
So Papo and Yo is a puzzle platformer adventure that was first released in 2012, which is wild. That was 14 years ago.
Goodness.
This game was developed and published by Minority Media. The game synopsis from the Steam storefront reads, quote, Kiko's best friend, Monster, is a huge beast with razor-sharp teeth, but that doesn't scare Kiko away from playing with him. That said, Monster does have a very dangerous problem, an addiction to poisonous frogs. End quotes. It's a very bizarre synopsis at first glance. So this is a 3D puzzle platformer where you play as a boy named Kiko, and Kiko escapes into a dream world or an imagination land of some kind where he can interact with a magical environment. And the reason he escapes to this dream world is because his father is an abusive alcoholic. So I want to give a content warning about this game before anyone plays it, that this game does touch on those themes of alcoholism and references to abuse by a parental figure to a child. I won't be delving into details on that in this review, but if you still want to remain absolutely safe and you want to skip ahead, I do not begrudge you for that at all. I just wanted you to know about that, listener. So I will keep talking about the game. So There are allusions to that abuse and violence as a result of his father's drinking. And he goes to this world. And the world Kiko escapes to is this fantastical favela, which is a type of neighborhood with densely packed buildings that you would see in Brazil, which is where this game takes place. And Kiko can run and jump to various platforms. He can find these white glowing glyphs and keys and ropes that stick out of the environment, and he can interact with those to change things. So Kiko might pull on a rope to reveal stairs coming out of a wall, or he might turn a giant key to reveal new platforms to jump on. And Kiko is eventually assisted by Lula, who is a robot doll that mimics the look of a toy of his in real life. So he's bringing Lula into this dream world as this companion. And Lula can help Kiko traverse larger gaps by giving him like a sustained jump, like kind of a hover, a brief hover. And Kiko also encounters Alejandra, a girl who vaguely guides Kiko and gives him directions. And after a few sections of doing this, Kiko finds Monster, which is this big salmon-colored creature with horns. And this sort of turns into an experience that's very much like another game I've played called The Last Guardian, which is a PlayStation first-party game that was in development for tons of years. The Last Guardian being a game where you play as a child who guides a large creature that doesn't resemble anything of our world.
Yeah.
It's a cutie.
Big cutie with wings.
I remember it's a combination of 3 different animals. And so we've got a creature that doesn't resemble anything of our world in this game too. We call it Monster. And we're using Monster's larger body to make progress. So Monster can sometimes eat fruit to be guided onto large platforms that he activates, like a big button, if you will. Sometimes Monster will fall asleep and take a nap, and you can jump on Monster's belly to get like an extra large jump up to a high platform. You might have to find ways to open gaps large enough for Monster to traverse. But basically, you're helping Monster get through these environments. He's helping you get through. It's this nice symbiotic relationship. But there are other mechanics that show up. There are these poisonous frogs that become present. And if Monster eats one, he becomes enraged and will grab and toss Kiko. And the goal becomes to guide Monster through this place and find answers about your real world memories and trauma. So here's what I liked about Papo and Yo. This is a game that's been in my backlog for, I think, well over a decade. I think I originally got this on Steam like back in 2013, 2014 maybe, and I've never played it. So it's been in my list of secret games to play for a while. I finally played it, and I really liked that this game is imaginative with its puzzle solving. And I don't just mean with what it's asking you to do and how you find solutions, but just what happens as a result of you solving the puzzles. And I think specifically of times when you need to make a big platform to traverse a super large gap. Maybe you're making a bridge of sorts, but the bridge will be constructed of buildings, of like these shacks that you're stacking on top. And then you use a lever to guide the stack of shacks in like a snake-like formation. And then you can climb them, you can go across them. You're manipulating the environment in really fun, interesting ways. You turn these magical keys in the sides of buildings, and then those buildings will like sprout legs and they'll start walking. Or they'll like fly up in the air and just like land somewhere else. And now you can do a different series of platforming. And so it's just a bunch of series of puzzles that you're doing from area to area. And you kind of just get the gist of what a area is asking you to do puzzle-wise. You get a checkpoint, you interact with everything you need to interact with, use Monster to get up to high places and such, and then you'll get the next checkpoint, and it's time for the next area of puzzles. And you do that for a few hours. So I just like that construction. It's one of my favorite kinds of gameplay to do in games like this. And the music is really great in this game. It features lots of woodwind instruments and strings. It feels very much like of this place. I don't know that I've heard a lot of soundtracks like this. I want to listen to the soundtrack on its own. This was actually a super huge surprise that the music was so energetic and fun to listen to. The characters in here are very interesting. They don't talk using speech. There are times where Kiko will use Lula, the robot companion, to not only traverse gaps, but also you can like throw Lula at these certain glyphs on the wall and Lula will activate them for you. And then Kiko will say like, Lula, to like call Lula back.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, we don't really hear voices. We just see like little speech bubbles from Alejandra and stuff like that. But the characters are nonetheless really interesting and there's some emotional depth despite there not being speech that you hear. I think this game has a super interesting and very particular Brazilian setting that explores both really tight areas and really fairly large open spaces too. It does a lot. It plays a lot with space. I just like the scale of this game. There's some things I didn't like as much in Papo and Yo, and some of these things involve like platforming, can feel a little clunky. This game feels a little dated with how it controls.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you jump toward a platform and you kind of make it, you kind of make contact, but you kind of slip off of it in a way that feels very much like a game from 2012 versus a game that you might play in this year. Not to say that those things don't happen in modern times, but it just has a certain feeling I can't describe with words that once you play it yourself, you'd kind of maybe get it. There are certain sections that involve Monster where Monster is designed to sort of get in your way and you have to figure out how to circumnavigate Monster that aggravate me. And they can also be kind of vague to figure out. And so until you figure them out, they're a little frustrating. And then I'd say the themes of the story and how they play out in the dream world feel like they're pretty on the nose and blunt. There's not a lot of poetry or imaginative storytelling with it. Not that that's necessary, but the game just is pretty shallow with some of its really serious themes, I would say. I like that the themes are in the game, and I can tell it's a very personal narrative from the creator of the game, Vander Caballero. So I really applaud him for this, for creating this game and making it about this subject matter. And I think back then in 2012, it was probably breaking ground. There probably weren't a lot of games that did this. So I really respect the game for that too. That's actually a huge positive I have for it too. It's just that sometimes I think the game is almost presenting a reveal or an allegory or a metaphor as something groundbreaking, and it doesn't feel that way. It just kind of feels like, yeah, I get that. That's pretty obvious. So overall, Papo and Yo is more emotionally charged than I expected. I think it's an early example of an indie game that can be about much more than the platforming that it offers. And the platforming in this game is fine. The puzzles, I think, are just the right difficulty to have a smooth experience. I really like the setting. I like the music. I think this is worth your time. For me, Papo and Yo is a 7.5.
That's what I guessed.
Amazing. And it's playable on PC, which is the version I played, Mac, Linux, and PS3. And I think PS3 was actually the very first platform it released on in 2012. And then it came to PC in 2013 and other places.
Yeah, I'm seeing here from PlayStation's official YouTube channel a launch trailer that actually is longer, but looks really well done.
So that one has live action, and it hints at the father-son relationship, and it shows that metaphor of what's going on in the dream world in a very grotesque way, actually. I didn't watch it with sound, but I kind of scrubbed through and I was like, oh, wow, that reveals a lot about what's going on in this game. And that cutscene is not in the game.
Yeah, I didn't think it would be. But yeah, I'm going to watch this after the recording today because I just want to watch it.
Yeah, I almost sent it to you to watch before, I talked about this, but I thought they did a great job finding a boy who looks like who you play as.
Yeah.
It almost makes me wonder, did they find this actor kid first and then make the character model in the game based on him?
That's kind of what I wondered too.
It's possible. Sometimes those things happen. So yeah, Papo and Yo.
Cool. I don't know that I have too many questions. When I was watching the original trailer you sent me, I was thinking of just how these surreal scenes look. And I was thinking of like a lot of the communion scenes in 1,000 Times Resist and stuff like that, and how weird the world bends and changes.
It's definitely similar to that. I mean, it's a very different game than that. 1,000 Times Resist being more of a narrative-focused game that's much longer and about completely different subjects. But it is that kind of imagination. It is that kind of world shifting, the kind of abstract based on our real world.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I do have a soft spot for PS3 indies.
Yeah.
And so just by the very nature of this being on PS3, I'm like, I might play that. But I don't know. We'll see.
I think this game looks really good. I was actually really thrilled to play a game with this kind of art direction and setting. Mm-hmm. It was cool to be in a Brazilian environment. Like I don't remember being in an environment like that before for a game on our show. Cool. So, yeah. So those are our secret games, Protodroid, DeLTA, and Papo and Yo. Let's move on to our review of Gravity Circuit. It is our featured game. Gravity Circuit is a 2023 action platformer developed by Domesticated Ant Games and published by PID Games and Dear Villagers. The game synopsis from the Steam storefront reads, quote, Gravity Circuit is a flashy, action-packed 2D platformer in the spirit of console classics. Follow Kai, a lone operative war hero who harnesses the mysterious powers of the Gravity Circuit on an adventure in a futuristic world inhabited by sentient robots. So, this game starts with a story intro sequence. We learn that a structure called the Ark was unearthed during a digging operation, and this led to violent robots called the Virus Army to attack the city where this game takes place. Does the city have a name? I can't remember.
I don't recall.
It might have a name, though. There are 9 Guardians called Guardian Corps who fought these robots. Only one Guardian remained after the battles, and this Guardian was badly damaged and became offline, and many years later, the Virus Army reemerges, and the one Guardian that was left over, named Kai, reawakens, and Kai is referred to as the Gravity Circuit. He has lost his memories of what happened in the first Virus Army conflict, and you make your way to the Guardian Corps HQ, where there are robots still fighting the good fight. And you interact with several NPCs here, including Colonel, a commander of the Guardian Corps HQ, or what's left of it, a nurse bot, a paint bot named Prim, a mysterious caped bot named Nega, an older bot named Kronos, and a research bot named Alf, to name some of them. And what's happened is Kai's 8 previous comrades have become rebel circuits, and they've taken over various parts of the city. The names of these rebel circuits are Ray, Trace, Ray, Trace, Blade, Cable, Bit, Medley, Crash, and Hash. I love their names. And the goal is to just go to these various sections of the city, to fight your way through and confront the compromised circuits to find out what's going on and where the virus army came from. I have been a little shaky on some parts of like the lore and the story. Do you feel like I captured things right?
Yeah, without spoilers. Yeah.
Yeah, because there are more details. Like this game actually has a surprising amount of story that reveals itself over time, but we don't want to spoil all that up front. So then there's gameplay. What are we doing in this game, Disco?
Yeah, think of any action platformer. You move mostly from left to right. You've got to jump. In Gravity Circuit, you have a classic Mega Man-like slide, but it's even faster than that. You have the ability to pogo down on top of enemies by pressing down and attack. You have a grappling hook that will let you swing across gaps, but will also latch onto and access higher areas. You can also use it to just straight up attack and grab enemies. You also have melee attacks. There's no like Mega Man arm cannon tonight, so it's just
no lemons coming out of your arm.
Yep, it's all hands and feet.
Swinging.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're molly-whopping. And then you also apparently have a sprint, which I either did not know or did not recall from the first several times I played it.
Can I share this anecdote?
Yeah, go for it.
Of when you made this discovery?
Yeah.
I was streaming this game at twitch.tv/BO_PO, and I was playing the warehouse level, and I was running around. Disco was watching me. He was in the chat, and all of a sudden, I get a series of several chat messages in a row from Disco, and they read, quote, wait. We can run? No. How do you run? I don't remember running. I just slide everywhere. So
True story.
You had played this game 5 or 6 times before and had never run.
Not that I recall. I did slide everywhere and even used like pogoing to get around quite a bit.
That is crazy. So I have many sections of this game where I don't know how I would beat them without running, because I got to the point where I was constantly running. Just for players' awareness, you can get to the point where you're just like zooming around once you get comfortable enough. Yeah.
And even in this playthrough, like I did use the run, but it still wasn't, I was still like sliding around more than running for the most part.
Is that because that's what you were used to?
I don't know. It just was like nature. It was like natural to me.
Sure.
And part of it was because I was doing a 100% run, and so I'm like always trying to make sure I don't go too fast and miss breakable walls and stuff.
Fair.
But yeah. So yeah, you can run, and I either didn't know that or did not recall that from my earlier playthroughs. You also have different equipables that can be purchased at your home base. You can buy different burst techniques, which will become available as you beat bosses. So they're kind of like the weapons that you get from bosses in classic Mega Man games, but not exactly, not quite.
You're not getting them directly from the bosses.
And you don't get to have all of them at any given time.
You don't get to switch to them. You have to equip them.
Yep. Yeah. And you can only equip 4 at any given time. You can also buy booster chips. These will add like mobility upgrades. I think there's like energy efficiency upgrades too. I only purchased like mobility ones for the most part.
Yeah.
But there's like 16 different booster chips you can buy. So you've got a lot of options. In each level, you can locate collectibles, including helpless citizens, which you will need to rescue in order to purchase those booster chips that I mentioned. You can also find either a health upgrade or a burst attack upgrade in each level. Enemies will also drop data chips for you to collect, which can be analyzed back at headquarters to teach you about each enemy. It's basically like a bestiary for the game. Yeah. And then later, after release, I don't know how long after, the game added pallet chips. These will be
that wasn't there at first. Okay.
Yeah. These will be, and the character that you buy them from actually used to be a character that you rescue in one of the levels.
Oh, Prim was like one of the bots in need of saving.
Yes.
Okay.
But yeah, these will be hidden usually in some sort of platforming challenge. And then these can be purchased again back at headquarters to swap your palette to that level's boss's palette and will offer some sort of special tech unique to that palette chip. One might give you an air dash, another might give you like this downward laser beam, and another might increase damage and range on your grappling hook. Speaking of things added later, there are also some quality of life things added after release, including a training center up above the level selection room, and the ability to select specific checkpoints to start at when revisiting a cleared level. And I think there's a couple of other things added, mostly in terms of like modifying levels and difficulty that I haven't really messed with.
So that training room, that'd be good if you wanted to try out different burst techniques, right?
Yep.
Like before going into a level, you can only equip 4 or up to 4 burst techniques, special moves that you can use on enemies and bosses. And you might, since there are so many, you might want to test them out first. So,
and you can test them out on like a little dummy so you can just see what they do. But then there's also like boss rushes, so you can test specific things on specific bosses as well.
Oh, that's cool.
That's all I had down for gameplay. Was quite a lot, actually. But
there's a lot in this game. I mean, especially just with the number of ways to augment Kai, there are lots of options.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's safe to say we both got comfortable with how we equipped Kai and used Kai, because ultimately the game is not microscopic in size. It's also not the longest game. So I think it's not a Hollow Knight Silk Song where like what I did in Hollow Knight Silk Song was I eventually found the tools and the crest that I liked and I just stuck with it the whole time somehow.
Yeah.
But I think you can make an easier case for that kind of a strategy in this game that's only like 5 to 7 hours for the average player. So we both got comfortable with what we found. As far as like history and significance points, I couldn't find much about the game. I guess, do you know anything historically about the game? Anything noteworthy about its production or release that comes to mind? Okay.
It just looked, the trailers and, early footage on social medias looked badass, and then it was out and it was an amazing game.
Yes, and it was a big success too. Like very positive reviews everywhere for this. Lauded as like one of the better action platformers that mimics what Mega Man is doing, but also doing its own thing. And so now, DiscoCola, I want to know from you, from your own mouth, how much do you love this game? And what did you think as you played a 6th time or 7th time?
I'm pretty much everything. Like almost everything about this game. I think the kineticism in this game is really good. Even just Kai's normal walking speed is really appropriate and doesn't feel like a drag. Like we mentioned, I didn't even know you could run. So I wasn't missing it, and you don't need it apparently. But I would slide when I did want to go fast, and sliding feels good. And you can get a booster chip that adds damage to your slide. And so, like, I'm just sliding into enemies and, like, I'm bonking them.
You're bonking them with your feet sliding.
And it, like, encourages me to use the slide. So I'm going fast and doing damage. And I'm just breaking everything in my way. And, like, even grappling feels good. And I hate grappling in most games. Like, I don't enjoy using grappling hooks because there's too much room for error.
I think there's a reason why a lot of platformers don't use them.
Yeah.
It's because it can be tricky. Even in 2D, you only have 2 dimensions to work with. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
But I think the grapple feels really good here. And like when you use it to get up onto semi-solid platforms, like that feels really good too. Like it saves your life. They designed Cypher, I believe, is the boss. Like he has an attack where it's like, oh, I need to like grapple up to this semi-solid platform really fast,
right?
Or else I'm gonna get hit with spikes.
Yes,
and it's really good. It all feels really good.
Hitting enemies with it is satisfying.
Yeah,
you can do it from a considerable distance.
It's very good. Yeah, and bonking, like pogoing down on enemies, feels really good, and it's an appropriate way to get places fast. Even just like using your grappling hook and holding on to enemies to throw them at other enemies and then grabbing that enemy that you just bonked. they design levels around that, and it's all very kinetic. It's all very fast. And the controls for everything feel really good. It's snappy, it's responsive like most Mega Man games are, but I think it even excels beyond most Mega Man games in that sense. I think the characters and the boss designs all look really cool. Each of the bosses has their own personality, but they all look like they're part of a set. And I love sets. I love sets of things. That's why I love Mega Man so much. It's just like, oh, Mega Man 2 is the one with these bosses, and Mega Man 6 is the one with these bosses. And it's perfect. I love that. The palette chips are such an amazing addition, because one of the things that I did miss from Mega Man games is like collecting a special weapon and changing the color that I appear as when I use that special weapon. Like I miss that, and I miss the weakness order. Gravity Circuit doesn't really have that, but they did add the palette chips, which is kind of a little bit of that. So like when I beat Cable, I can get his palette chip and I can look like Cable, and I use like a bit of a special weapon. No one's weak to it, but I get to shoot little electric bolts out when I use my melee attacks, and that's really cool.
Yeah, and so you don't feel the pressure to know the weakness order. Because that's my thing in Mega Man games is I know fans like you find that exciting, where you could go into a certain boss, get their weapon, and you know that's the weakness for another boss. I don't know those things inherently. Sometimes they follow a nice logic where it's like, an ice boss might be weak to a fire boss's weapon, so to speak. But it's not always that straightforward. You have to use leaps of logic sometimes to make the connection. What
does a bubble kill? I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? Damn it, we have a bubble boss. So that weapon's going to be strong against something in the game. So I better guess. I don't like doing all that research. I don't like stressing about that. I do like this. I prefer this. Leave it wide open to me to choose which boss power I want to equip in any stage, and it's going to be useful in any stage.
And sometimes there are mobility ones too, which are cool, like your air dash that you were using a lot.
God, once I got that was the one. Yeah. It was the one.
That's the one.
Man. But I used one or two others before that for a considerable time.
Yeah. But yeah, the palette chips were a great addition. I played this game without the palette chips a few times, and once I found out they were there, like that was super awesome addition. I like the variety of enemies. Some games in the Mega Man-like sphere have like 12 different minor enemies, and then you get, you see them over and over and over and over again. And then some of them have just like, these enemies only appear in this stage and you never see them again. This one has just the right amount.
Yes.
I think they looked at games like Mega Man games from like Mega Man ZX and Mega Man 03, where you also collect chips that become like a bestiary, essentially. They looked at like how many enemies are in that game, and they just sort of like, okay, this is the right balance, because those games had the right balance of minor enemies. And they just sort of like took the best parts of Mega Man 0, the best parts of Mega Man ZX and Mega Man X, and put them all in a blender. And, variety of enemies is just one of the examples of that.
And that even goes down to the placement of the enemies, because I feel like I go into a room in a level I haven't been to before, and I'll see one or two new enemies specific to that area. And so that makes sense. Then the next room, there's going to be that purple guy that shoots the 3 bullets. I'm like, oh, it's the purple guy.
I know that guy.
And then after him, I might see a new enemy particular to the level. So it's really doing a good job at swapping back and forth between familiar, unfamiliar.
Yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't thought of that, but that's very true. I love all of the collectibles in this game and the amount of collectibles. And that includes like saving the civilians. I consider those collectibles.
Oh yeah, totally.
And it's not too few, it's not too many. I love it. The collectible game in this is amazing.
When you were talking about what you can find in each level, you said you can find either a burst upgrade or a health upgrade in every level. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I've actually been wondering, is there a health and a burst upgrade in each level? I like that it's one or the other.
Yes. Yeah. So there's 4 of each in the game.
Got it.
1 at each level.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it's so
then
good.
8 civilians to rescue in every level. So you just kind of, and you get into the rhythm of what that feels like to, you kind of get a sixth sense after playing a few of these levels that, hey, I've walked this many steps in a level. I should probably have found a civilian by now. And you're usually right. There's usually like a breakable wall nearby and they're behind it, or maybe just a little crevice you need to jump into, and you'll find this little platforming section to save someone.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right. So we'll talk more about collectibles a little bit later, but I love when a game is super fun to 100% collect. Sound design, but especially the music in this game is incredible. Every single song is a bop, and some of them are just like absolute bangers. I love the music in this. I don't have yet a great way to listen to it just whenever I want, but just the music is so good. And like Brian said in our Crosscode episode, one of the things that he considers the most important thing for a Mega Man like to be a good Mega Man like is great music, and Gravity Circuit has some of the best. I think the game length is just right too. It's shorter if you don't want to collect everything, but it's so fun to collect everything I want to anyway.
Yeah.
So those 5 hours fly by if that's how long it's taking me. And even the story here is really impressive. Mega Man games historically have had little to no story in every game. It's like, oh, Sigma's back somehow.
Right.
Oh, Palpatine returned.
It's very Saturday morning cartoon. Like, this is just an excuse to have all this action going on, right?
Yeah. And then I think once you get to the Zero series, like, story starts to really pick up there. And I think they looked at that for inspiration in this, because the way you select levels is very Mega Man Zero like, and it's just, even the story is really impressive. That was a lot of stuff. There's more. There's like pretty much everything in this game is
any
really
aspect
good.
of the game that you could grade the game on.
Yeah.
He loves it.
Pretty much.
He loves it, folks.
When I wrote my notes, and as far as like dislikes, I couldn't think of anything. I did think of one thing while I was talking there, and it's literally just 2 of the collectibles, 2 of the people you have to save, I think are sort of unfairly hidden.
Oh.
Because most everything is like, you can kind of see a broken wall. You can kind of see like somewhere up high that you should probably explore.
Yeah.
But there's like 2 hidden in open pits. And jumping
really?
down open
Okay.
pits is kind of counterintuitive.
I probably didn't find those. Did you see me find them?
I saw you skip one of them for sure.
Okay. How would I have known that?
Yeah,
that's a good point.
I think there's 2 that I can think of in my head that it's like, oh, I had to look those up more than one time, because I'm like, oh, that's right. This is where this one is.
But even that is like the pickiest of nits.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There are maybe some things that I would prefer were different, maybe like equip more booster chips, or, and I think this is why pallet chips were added, to give you like another booster ability without adjusting your booster chip rules. I wish that I could equip all pallet chip abilities at once, but as it turns out, there actually is a chip that does that. So you just have to go through the work to get it.
I didn't know that.
And I think that's really cool. I kind of want to make a video about items that include the elements of all other similar items.
Yeah.
It's like the ultimate version.
I
love when you can find that in a
games
game.
with that. Solar Ash. I'm thinking of Solar Ash with that suit. Yeah, totally.
Mega Man X3 has it. There's Mega Man 03 has. There's a lot, but that's like my favorite thing to find in a game. It makes playing the whole damn game worth it.
I do kind of wish there was a more accessible way to just equip the paint color independent from the power it gives you. I wish we could do that. That'd be kind of fun.
Like, you want the electricity, but you want to
I want to look
pure
blue.
Yeah,
Yes.
I get that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Gravity Circuit, it's an amazing game. I highly recommend it to any action platformer fan, and it's an absolute must-play for Mega Man fans. Apart from the Game Gear stuff and some other like miscellaneous titles, I've played every single 2D Mega Man and have included them in my ranked list of games. When I started this week, I had only 8 Mega Man games ahead of Gravity Circuit in my top 100, which sounds like a lot, but it actually is not that many Mega Man games. Effective today, I have only 5 Mega Man games ahead of Gravity Circuit.
So it's appreciated.
Yeah, and that's
for you.
Like, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Even though it is among my favorite indie games, it didn't like change my DNA because Mega Man X did that 30 years ago. But what it did do is show me that it can take the main elements of what I consider to be the perfect video game formula found in Mega Man games, change up the gameplay and visuals enough to make it its own, stand out, and excel at being a game in its own right. And there are a lot of good Mega Man likes that get a lot of it right, but fall short in other ways. Sometimes it's gameplay, sometimes it's level design, or sometimes it's even creating its own identity. It's just too much like Mega Man. But Gravity Circuit doesn't struggle with any of that. I don't know how to make a sequel to this game or this story, but I hope that there is one, because this game is practically perfect and perfectly fit to my tastes. I give it a 10 out of 10.
What if you were just like 5 out of 10? Like after all that, that'd be,
After all that,
I knew it. I expected it.
I told you.
Right. I actually, for a sequel, I'm actually wondering, you know how there was the first Virus Army conflict like decades ago? Could it be a prequel, a prequel sequel?
Yeah, where you don't fight circuits, but you just fight different virus robots somehow.
And different bosses of that army.
Yeah.
I don't know. It wouldn't follow the same like structure. It wouldn't follow the same conventions necessarily, but it's all I can come up with.
There could be something there.
Well, I'll go into my thoughts, and I would say this is my favorite Mega Man like, and I love it more than most, if not all, Mega Man games. I don't have the depth of love for Mega Man that Disco has, so this is an easier barrier for me to cross. But like, as I was playing this, I was just thinking, I'm having fun. I'm having so much fun playing this ounce for ounce, pound for pound. It's just fun. And I don't remember feeling that constant burst of fun this consistently in another Mega Man game. It's been a while, and I do love Mega Man X. It was one of my first SNES games, one of my first games in general, but I always sucked at it. You know, I wasn't that kid who would speedrun it, and I didn't know all of the weaknesses and stuff. I would just go into all the stages and play as much as I could before I lost all my lives. So I touched every part of that game, but like, I didn't hit a flow state with it. And this game, I can hit a flow state, and maybe it's that I'm older now. Maybe I can play these games better than I think, but I just think Gravity Circuit is great. Moment to moment, level to level. I played it in 2 sessions, knocked out 4 of the main bosses in one, then the rest of the 4 in the next, and the ending sequence all in that second session. And I think this game immediately feels amazing to control. The running, jumping, grabbing, and throwing specifically feels appropriately powerful while still requiring a bit of skill to pull off, which I think is super rewarding. In order to run everywhere, which I wasn't doing immediately and didn't do until like my second session, you know, to get there, you have to get comfortable like running a few times here and there. But then by the final boss, I'm holding in the run button the entire time I'm moving. And I feel so much more capable by the end of this game than I did when I started. I love that act of throwing an enemy, killing a guy, grabbing their corpse, throwing a guy. You're like juggling these guys, basically.
It's so good.
It feels amazing. And you can take an item, a corpse, a robot that you've defeated, and you can carry it with you, and you can climb up things. You can grapple with it, I believe. I think you can swing while holding something. Oh, you can't?
No.
But you can climb up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can climb up ledges with things. So I was doing that a lot. I was seeing an enemy up on a ledge, and I had just destroyed an enemy. So I picked up that robot corpse, and I go up the ledge, and I throw it immediately. That's my first attack. And that just feels really good that the game lets me continue that momentum.
And they like, most of the time when you throw an enemy at another enemy, it's like a one-hit kill.
I know.
It's so good.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what the enemy is most of the time. It just, so I can expect what it will do. I don't wonder, is this going to take an enemy thrown at it and then like 2 punches to kill? I just can already predict what will happen. I like the burst techniques because they require timing to do right sometimes. So when you pull that off, when you time the button press and the spacing the right way, I do like an uppercut super attack to an enemy. And especially against a boss, that feels like I found the right window in a punch-out game to like do the special move against the enemy, right? It's just, I found that right space, that right time to hit the button. So you feel like you're punishing the enemy effectively. Each area is extremely distinct. I like little details that make each area stand out. One example is like in Steelworks, where there's a lot of like lava and fire and stuff. You'll see this haze in certain parts of the level that show like this is a really hot place. Like it's so hot that there's this haze, and you don't see that anywhere else in any of the other levels. And every level has something like that. There's something visually distinct, whether it's a background or how certain enemies move, or the way the obstacles and like the hazards are placed. Like everything's just so particular. And so it just never feels like you're in the same place for too long. I did have dislikes with Gravity Circuit. I actually had an issue with the grappling, and it could be the controller I was using. I'm not sure. But I found that when I would try to grapple swing, I would so often grapple straight ahead of me instead of at the ceiling. And so I would I'm pushing the stick up. I swear I am. I know, like I'm very mindful and aware of what my thumb is doing, because after it happened the first time, I started paying attention, and it's like a significant portion of the time when I'd push the stick up to hit the ceiling, I would just shoot straight. And I don't know why that was happening. It could have been my controller, but
yeah, I don't do the stick. I always do D-pad.
I can make much faster movements in this game with the analog stick, which is why I do analog stick. So it just didn't feel comfortable to switch to the D-pad in this game for me. There are a couple levels that are filled with annoying obstacles that kind of ruin those levels for me. It's just 2 levels that I can think of, and we can talk about this in a bit, but the junkyard and the mountains in particular, and I think these are pain points for multiple players out there. The ending sections, I think, are a little prolonged. I think overall the game has a really good number of hours in it, really good length, like 5 to 7 hours. I like that a lot. I think what we call the Dr. Wily Castle sections, they feel a little elongated because we have to do several like platforming sections and fights. Each of these pieces on their own aren't that bad, but what really makes it feel long is actually the dialogue and the exposition that happens. There's a part in this game that feels really verbose to me, and it's with characters I won't, spoil, but it's what happens when we learn a lot about the backstory and the history and stuff. It just felt like I was reading a lot of text. It was just going on and on and on. So I thought that kind of ruined the flow of the end for me. And then with the chips and the burst techniques that we can equip, I found that I was stuck with what made me comfortable. I liked what I liked. I stuck with it, and I didn't have any excitement seeing new chips unlocked to buy, because you get access to different ones to buy when you beat a level. I just didn't feel compelled to explore all of them, and I actually think maybe there are too many choices of them. Maybe it would have been more special if there were only a handful of burst techniques and a handful of these chips.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have thoughts on that.
No, I actually do agree with you on that. It's not enough to like change my score, because this is just, an example of giving a lot of different types of players options, where someone might prefer energy efficiency. I really need the double jump, or where someone might like a ground pound. I like this really big laser burst technique. So it's like, it's still a lot of options. I wouldn't change the booster chips necessarily, but I do wish there were fewer burst techniques, because I think getting one per boss makes that feel more special instead of 2 per boss.
Yes. If there were 8 instead of 16, is that the math?
Well, plus the 4 that you get from the start.
Oh, okay. So there are 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a lot. And I never read the description for one and thought, oh, I got to equip that. I just knew what I liked, and I never felt compelled, even with the chips too. I get to a certain point where I get a double jump. And in my mind, that's something that I treasure so much in a 2D platformer, that there's nothing that could make me fall in love with anything harder.
Yeah.
So it's like,
it's the compass from Hollow Knight. Yeah.
I'm almost not even going to look at the other options. I think I scrolled through all of them, but I didn't give them a second thought. I just was like, oh, that's cool. But yeah, they're just not all built the same. They do cost different amounts, right? So you get what you pay for.
The double jump is the most expensive one.
Understandably so.
Yep.
And once I got that, I was set. I was golden. So I don't need to consider all these other options that the game is seemingly wanting me to care about. So overall, Gravity Circuit feels amazing to play. It has awesome bosses with diverse levels. It's probably my favorite indie action platformer after Shovel Knight. I was trying to think of other ones.
Not bad.
That I love this much. And I'm sorry if I'm forgetting one. I could be. But I'm going to rate this a 9 out of 10 for me.
Okay.
And I just remember playing this on stream and saying out loud, I'm having so much fun moment to moment. I can't believe how much fun I'm having. So, I know I had a lot of like nitpicks in there. I just had to call those out because we are praising a really good game today. And one thing that jumped out to me early on in this game was the difficulty level selection. We get the option to play easy, normal, or hard, I think is what they're called. I played on normal. Have you played all the different difficulty levels?
I don't remember if I have. I've played what's required for the platinum, so I don't know if I've played hard mode. But there's something called circuit mode that you get after beating the game, and I don't remember what circuit mode is.
Okay.
But I've played that twice.
I'm curious about your thoughts on this game having the difficulty levels. It's not something we see traditionally like this straightforwardly in games like this, especially Mega Man games. I know there are ways to make those games like easier or maybe harder. But I guess it's just interesting to see this as an option. I'm not used to it.
Yeah. So most Mega Man games, I shouldn't even say that. A lot of them don't have difficulty options. Apparently, most Mega Man X games have something called Extreme Mode, which I actually didn't even know about until 7 or 8 years ago. So I've never played any of the Extreme Mode ones. But something they started doing in like the Zero and ZX series, which again, this is taking a lot of inspiration from, it does have all those different options and really puts it at the forefront and rewards you with different game modes.
Nice.
Yeah, and so I guess that's for people who like a more challenging playthrough, because I think Gravity Circuit is like a really good difficulty at normal mode. Like
Agreed.
Just a very solid play.
It is. I think this is one game I can recommend to so many more people than a lot of the other action platformers I've played. Like I can, on average, I could say, especially knowing there's an easier mode than what I played. And I'm a pretty capable video gamer. I was able to sail through pretty fast, 2 sit downs with the game and it was done. That's even while streaming it. And so knowing that there is an easier mode, I don't have any hesitations recommending this to a relatively newer gamer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then if you're really good at it and you need more of a challenge, there's hard mode. And then there's also, when I started my new save file for this playthrough, there was something called Rude Enemies, and I don't know what that is.
They're going to come over and knock your dinner off the table.
Something, I don't know. And then you can like mirror.
They're not going to take off their shoes at the door. They're not going to put the microphone covers on the microphone in the studio.
Oof. You get banned for that. But yeah, there's a lot of like other small things you can do to modify the game, which were new additions. Like I said, Rude Enemies, whatever that means. I think you can mirror levels or make it upside down. I don't remember what the option was, but there's crazy stuff you can do.
We get a glimpse of that in the warehouse.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, where you're going upside down, I guess.
Yep. Yeah.
Interesting.
I don't like doing that.
No, I don't like that either.
Games.
But it's so short-lived that I don't, bash the game for it.
Right.
I think the game is really smart at how much to do short experimental things. Like it's not going to overwhelm you. Like when we went upside down, I go, okay, here we go. And then that's just a very small section of a level called the warehouse that really does like play around with lots of ideas. That's the level where we're going into portals and jumping out of other portals. And even if that sounds overwhelming, it's really not that bad.
Yeah. And they're like the sections with the lasers that trigger when you step in front of the little tracker beam or whatever. That's pretty short. There's sections where you have to like grapple onto a moving platform and raise and lower yourself to
like
avoid
stuff
spikes.
Like that, yes.
But it's still pretty short if you hate it.
It's true. And it's reminiscent of, for me, Donkey Kong Country in levels where you have to get on a rope and the rope moves on its own. And there are Mario levels that do this too, I guess. And you have to raise and lower. And I always liked those because it was like an on-rails platformer, if that could even be a thing. You know, like I guess an endless runner would be another way to do it.
You're so right.
But you're so stuck to one axis, you know? And I just always liked that because it was a cool little break. And those games back in the day knew how little to do it. This game knows how little to do these things. And speaking of the warehouse, you know, that's one of my favorites with all of its experimental ideas. I'd be curious about your favorite levels or ones that stand out in particular.
Well, that level has my favorite song, and it's by a lot. I freaking love that song.
Okay.
It's so good. The level that I like the least is for sure the ice level. And it's mostly for... It kind of traumatized me during like trophy playthroughs because you have to, one of the trophies is to get through that level without getting frozen.
Oh,
and there are a lot of enemies that want to freeze you, and they can kind of like get you without much warning. It's hard to really dodge those. So that's one of the harder trophies. I really like Medley's level, the city, I believe it's called or whatever, with all the speakers, and it's really vertical.
The town center or city center.
Yeah, I really like that one.
Yeah. That one you told me was like a breeze.
Yes.
And at the end of my first session, you said, if you want like a nice, easier one, since you're wrapping up soon, do that level.
Yeah. And I believe you found that to be true. I don't know, but
I did. Yeah. It was good.
I like the underground level, the mining level.
Yes.
This is also, going back to the previous point, has a couple of ride armor sections, and they can be longer if you can hold on to and plan your platforming correctly. You can hold on to that ride armor for a really long time.
Yeah.
But it also like...
You're talking about like the mechs?
Yeah.
Okay. Is this a term that's used in this genre? Ride armor?
Ride armor is what they're called in Mega Man games.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Sorry.
Sorry, you're talking to a lay person.
My bad.
You're talking to a normie.
They're called ride armors in Mega Man.
RIDE.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. But you do reach a point where...
Who up writing they are. Sorry. I'm sorry. That's the only time I'll do that.
Okay. I doubt it. But you do reach a point where it's like, okay, this is the end of the line for the ride armor. So it's like, if you don't like the ride armors, first of all, you can get out of them at any time, but those sections are limited. But I really like destroying all the blocks in front of me to get them out of my way and get through. And like, there's timing involved too. And it really encourages that really kinetic gameplay. So that's probably my favorite level. It's not my favorite boss, but it's my favorite level, I think.
I wrote that one down as my favorite too. I like the idea of using those mechs. And I was immediately reminded of Mega Man X, seeing that show up. I go, oh, that's an immediate, obvious inspiration. I'm curious about other direct comparisons to Mega Man that might be as obvious or maybe are a little bit more hidden, and you might notice the more you look under the hood. Do you notice stuff like that?
I'm trying to think of specifics. There's one enemy. It's one of the bigger. There's like 3 big enemies, and each of these ones you can't kill by throwing guys at them. They take more than that. One of them is just like this head on a like pogo body.
Yes.
That's a pretty clear reference to an enemy from Mega Man's like 1 and 3 and 5. That enemy that shows up right before the boss door in almost every level.
Yes. Yeah.
That to me reminds me of an enemy that's in Mega Man 04. That shows up quite a lot, takes almost as many hits to kill, has almost as many different attacks to throw at you.
You can grab its rockets.
Yes,
and
which
throw
is
them back.
so fun.
It's so cool.
That's so fun.
It trivialized that enemy once I figured that out.
So the highway chase level or whatever.
Yes.
You jump on these like platforms that zoom really fast. There is this level, or a couple levels, I think, in Mega Man 03 that feature basically the same thing. And those are some of the best levels in Mega Man. I love going to those levels because it's it's so fun. The platform itself kills enemies that you run into, and it just feels awesome. You're going faster than you can with any gameplay mechanics. Is so cool. those are the main ones that I can think of. And of course, the final boss has giant hands, which is a staple of most Sigma enemies.
Our friend DCart941, Dave on Twitch, he was watching me play the final boss and he goes, "Oh, that's Sigma."
Yeah,
like
Sigma's
that's
here.
Sigma's here. Yeah. You've changed categories, I see, to Mega Man X.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's cool because it's not just like the story and the construction, like having the 8 stages and getting the powers of the bosses, albeit in an indirect way. It's little mechanics, it's little moments, it's little enemies that show up here and there too.
Yeah. There's one really cool detail in the final boss fight, like overall fight. There's 2 bosses in the final boss fight. And the first boss that you fight, when you fight him the first time, he is one color. But if you fail and you come back and fight him again, he's a different color, to imply at that point that he is like a reanimated corpse or something.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That is cool.
Yeah.
I love that.
Another cool detail I noticed this most recent time, and it might have even been a change from when it first came out. If Kai is low on health and a dialogue starts, he will mimic his sprite, his like injured sprite where he's like holding his arm.
Huh.
And like the little portrait that pops up is doing the same thing.
Oh, that's cool.
I don't know that the original release had that.
Okay.
Because I don't recall seeing that before.
See, I guess that's another way this contrasts with these classic games, because this game has that classic look. It's inspired by these classic games, but they've very much updated it over time, sometimes in very small ways, maybe in ways you won't perceive if you replay the game after it launched. But like, I just appreciate that I'm coming to this game a couple years after it released, and I know, based on what you've shared, that I'm getting the definitive version, and it's not even a different version of the game. It's just they've updated it.
Yeah, the absolute, like I mentioned when we were talking about the booster chips, like they could have opted to, give you more booster chips. They maintained 3 booster chip slots. Like, here's palette chips to sort of like maybe get you a little bit more, but
it's cool. All right, favorite and least favorite bosses.
I actually think that the boss in the underground level, the boss itself is not my favorite. You kind of wrecked him though, and I was pretty impressed that you tackled him.
That was the
so
first
quickly.
one I played, right?
Yeah, it was.
Well, it took me a few tries though. I didn't.
You still did pretty good. He hits pretty hard.
Yeah. He drops the rocks, the columns.
Yeah.
I remember that.
I think maybe Ray is maybe my least favorite of the main 8. Because I think his moves are the hardest to dodge. He's the one that does lasers and fire.
Oh, yeah.
I think his moves are the hardest to dodge.
Is he in the highway level?
No.
Oh, that's Bit.
Bit's pretty hard to dodge too, now that you say it. Yeah, he's the fast one. So he's got some ones that are hard to dodge. And they're sort of random based on the position of your body at the time he starts the attack too. So
you can manipulate it maybe.
Yeah, that one's, I have trouble with that one. But Medley, as far as like a fight itself, is kind of a boring fight, but I like her design, I think, the most.
Yeah. I like the columns she sprouts, and she's the one where you have to grapple to the ceiling to avoid, or wall jump or whatever, or double jump. I guess there are many ways to avoid it.
There are a lot of ways around her moveset.
Yeah.
She's the sound-based one. I'm trying to think of what other ones I really like.
I really like Hash in the warehouse. This is the one where he's making clones and you're jumping on the 4 platforms.
Is that one Hash?
That one's Hash.
I thought that one was Cypher.
Let me double cheese. Hash, gravity, circuits. Is he purple?
Yeah.
He is in warehouse.
Okay.
Yes.
I thought Hash was the one with the like cross on its head.
We're just looking at the wiki now. This is the episode, folks.
Oh no, Cypher's the one that makes copies of. No, this says Hash. What the hell?
Hash is referred to as the
Cypher
Cypher Circuit.
There we go.
But his name is Hash.
Yeah.
Okay. We're both right.
Yes.
Neither of us is. I'm keeping all this in the episode.
Please.
By the way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe cut some of the dead parts.
I will. Yeah.
So there we go.
Listeners, we were looking that up for 15 minutes. No, I like eventually recognizing how many copies he's going to make. And then as I'm on my way to hash, I hit his copies so that they don't do an additional attack. I just feel like so in control once I figure out the pattern. I don't really ever love having to get into those boxes to avoid the area of effect attacks.
I find that most of his moves are like too fast for me to counter all of them. I can get like 75% of his moves.
Yeah,
I
like
think.
you're gonna get hit.
Yeah.
It's just what do you want to get hit by? And and then, gosh, there's some that I just annihilated, and I don't even have a sense of who they are or like what they do because I wrecked them.
Yeah.
So like Trace in the junkyard, I didn't like that level as much. That's the level with the goo balls.
Yeah, the goo balls suck.
And that level also had a really long run back from a checkpoint from like maybe it's the beginning of the level to the first checkpoint that I didn't appreciate. But I beat Trace in the junkyard, and I remember saying, I'm not even going to remember that guy tomorrow.
You did say that. I forgot. Yeah, well, and that in part goes to just how good the controls and the upgrades are in Gravity Circuit, because at a certain point, you can obliterate most of the bosses if you're playing them later in the game.
Yeah, totally. So it totally depends on the order. Like the first boss you fight might give you a harder time on average because you don't have as much health, you don't have as much burst energy. And so I did, and just you don't have as much practice with the game. So I did find that I was steamrolling more bosses as time went on. But I do appreciate that you can tackle them in any order. And I mostly just went randomly. And
it worked out.
I wonder how many combinations that is. It's just a lot. Yeah, it's cool. Then I also, like, as I was going through, I was doing as many collectibles as I could. I wasn't obsessive about getting 100%. But gosh, I was super thankful for the collectibles I did find, especially the health and the burst energy by the end because of the pretty intense ramp up in difficulty on that final boss or final couple bosses. Without finding that stuff, I might still be trying to beat it. I don't know. But yeah, it was hard.
It's possible. I don't know if we want to get into this now, but the first time I did play it, I got to the end of the game totally naked. No burst upgrades equipped except for the one that you get right away. No booster chips, no health upgrades. And I did this.
No running.
No running.
I know you weren't running.
I did this not because I wanted to just like, I was being masochistic or whatever. I was just trying to get as many trophies to pop all at the same time as I could. I was trying to be efficient with my time.
So there's a trophy for going in nude at the end?
There's a trophy for going in without burst upgrades. There's a trophy for going in without, booster chips, without health. So it's 4 or 5 individual trophies. I thought I was being efficient with my time, but it's actually just faster to play the game
multiple times.
Different times.
You eventually did it?
I did it. It sucked. It was terrible.
How many attempts or hours or what have you?
Oh my God. I think just the final boss fight alone was multiple different streams, like 4+ hours on just the final boss.
Oh, yowzers.
Yeah, terrible.
Yeah,
Don't do that.
That's getting into some of the hardest boss fights in like Souls-like games territory where you're just knocking your head against the wall for hours and not even making progress and then just saying, I'm coming back later, I guess.
I know how to dodge all of the final boss's attacks now. And he's actually easier to dodge than the smaller boss that comes before him. He's actually way more challenging.
Wow. Is there anything you would say about the ending sequence? It is a considerably long sequence. I think it was maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours of my total playtime.
So when you're saying ending sequence, you just mean like the Dr. Wily levels.
Actually, I mean, yeah, like plural, like everything after that 8th stage that you finish.
Okay.
Yeah, like it's pretty long, right?
Yeah, I would say so. Like the final level in particular has 4 separate 2-way forks in the road that you can pick. And I find that level just in general is pretty long. Some people don't like the Mega Man like boss refights. I love them. But this game has that. It's sort of truncated in a way, but there's
a checkpoint.
It makes for like the longest boss fight in the game.
Yeah. I was stressed out when I first started fighting it because I didn't know there was a checkpoint.
Yeah, it's for every 2 circuits that you fight
Oh,
and defeat.
I thought it was just at the halfway point after 4.
No,
That's
you
good.
just got
Okay.
lucky. It's for every 2.
Got it.
That also took a long time naked.
I bet. Yeah. And you were also naked yourself when you played it.
Yeah, I love to walk around without a shirt on. It's my favorite feeling in the world.
He streams without any clothes. That's why he doesn't have a camera. Well, I just thought the ending sequence was a little long, but the final boss was worth it. The satisfaction of beating the gauntlet of the 8 was really cool. So yeah, I overall did enjoy it. Yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else to say on this masterpiece of an action platformer, DiscoCola?
Nah, man. I mean, I really hope it gets a sequel, but I also at the same time don't want the legacy of this to be tarnished. Like I said, I moved this on my list. I can tell you where it is.
Yeah, tell us about your lists.
Okay, so in my top 100 list, just all games, I think I had it at 15 before today.
Okay.
I moved it to 8.
On just overall?
Overall
Wow.
games. So there's 5 Mega Man games ahead of it. It's X, X4, 03, and there's no way it could ever probably pass those 3. But, X2 and ZX, contenders, it's pretty close. But yeah, and I've played a lot of Mega Man-like games, and this is the best one, and it's by a lot. Let me pull up this list here. I've played Gravity Circuit, I've played Bat Boy, we've both played, and that game controls really well, and it's a really great Mega Man-like game. Gal Gunvolt Burst, another really good one. Azure Striker Gunvolts 1 and 2. These are basically in order, by the way, of how good I think they are.
Uh-huh.
LC, Panzer Paladin, Kojin Sword of Rewind, which is not too much of a Mega Man-like compared to others. Metagal, Mighty Number 9. Lunar Lux is more like a Battle Network Mega Man. And then Protodroid DeLTA, I'd probably put that between LC and Panzer Paladin. But yeah, Gravity Circuit is by far the best one. And I gave Bat Boy also a 10 when I played it, I believe.
Yeah, and I really loved that one too. I think Gravity Circuit is my favorite. If you count Shovel Knight in this realm, I prefer Shovel Knight, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But this is still up there. I don't know where it's going to rank quite yet. I don't think it's been put into my top 100 indie games lists, but I'm going to put it in there soon. And I think it's going to be, safely in the top 50. And yeah, I just highly recommend it. It was super fun. Parts of it do kind of feel like one big blur a bit. Like I don't think back to specific sequences and moments. I just think about how the whole thing was really solid and just a joy and like a thrill all the way through. I think if I had played it, like half a dozen times like you, I would probably be more reminiscent about those moments. But as you say things, I'm like, oh yeah, we did do that. Oh, that was cool. So it's a great game. I thank you for picking it for this season.
Thank you for agreeing to it to be a featured game.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I think it was well deserved. It's a highly lauded action platformer. And that will be our review of Gravity Circuit. You can play it on PC, Mac, Linux, Switch, PS4, and PS5. DiscoCola rated it a 10. I rated it a 9. That's the end of this episode of Underplayed. You can find more of our episodes at kzum.org/underplayed and on common podcast platforms. Our music was composed by Jack Rodenberg. Our art comes from Onimochi. Check out our show notes where you can find and follow us across social media. Underplayed is on Bluesky, Instagram, and Threads. You can find my links down below, and I stream a variety of indie games on Twitch.
And I am at DiscoCola in many of those places, including Backloggd, where I have a list of Mega Man likes that I've played and a list of Mega Man likes that I want to play.
Next time, we will have 2 more secret games to review, a discussion with our guest, Dave Jackson, and a review of our featured game, Hollow Knight Silksong, a Metroidvania developed by Team Cherry. Until then, everyone, go bonk 'em.